we are most excited not just to be here with our friends at First Florida Credit Union, but to welcome on another friend of ours, Matt Hamilton, producer of the Up and Adams Show, formerly of the NFL Network, of course now a part of the FanDuel Network. I texted you this morning, Matt, and you said, it's been too long. I couldn't echo those sentiments more. How are you, my friend?
I'm just excited to be back with you guys. I missed you. Excited to talk some Jaguars football. Had a great chat with Trevor Lawrence the other day, so really excited to be here. Thank you for having me on.
I probably should have led with that he is also not only the Trevor Lawrence interview on Kay Adams, but that Matt is also a massive Jaguars fan.
Oh yeah, big fan. I do want to warn you, Matt, that if we've been having some flyovers because we are set up outside and we're near our naval air station. So if all of a sudden you hear some loud flyovers happening, just a warning. Yeah.
Oh, that's fun. Adds another element to the interview. I like it.
Yes.
The good news is that we do have some of our listeners, Matt, who of course we call Heeligans, that are at NAS Jacks right now, and they are giving us the heads up when the flyovers are coming, so we'll see if timing works out. You led with it, so let's get right into it. Trevor Lawrence joined the Up and Adams Show for an extremely transparent, a very informative interview earlier this week. You told me off the air that we can talk about it on the air, so explain to us, Matt, how that interview almost didn't come to be.
Yeah, so we were supposed to talk to Trevor in New Orleans during Super Bowl week. His flight was delayed. There was a lot of fog in New Orleans, so they ended up delaying his flight. So by the time he landed, our show was already over. And it just also speaks to the kind of guy Trevor is. He wanted to honor his commitment. So they worked out another time for him to join this past Monday. And, it ended up working out for us because obviously, if we had him Super Bowl week 1, we wouldn't have had as much time to talk with him, too. The whole Steelers drama hadn't happened yet, so we wouldn't have been able to talk to him about that. So it was kind of, kind of fortunate how it all came together. And again, it says a lot about him that he wanted to honor the commitment and come on with us, which was pretty cool.
Let's talk a little bit more about Trevor. There's been a lot of conversations at what tier in the quarterback world Trevor Lawrence is at, and there's a lot of things that have happened, obviously, when we talk about the coaching situations, offensive line, drops, all of these things that have kind of been categorized into why Trevor may not be where people had expected him to be. Give us your thoughts a little bit on where you see Trevor at this point in his career and how much you believe that Liam Coen can bring out that next level of what he was also able to do with Baker Mayfield.
So I'm still incredibly high on Trevor Lawrence. I think, he's had a lot of things stacked against him, and it's not to make excuses. It's just the reality of the situation when you have 4 different guys calling plays for you and the injuries that he's undergone and continuity issues with the roster and all that stuff. Like, he's just had a lot working against him so far. And I think if anybody is going to bring that level out of him that I think we all know is there, we all know that potential is there, I think it is Liam Coen. Obviously, we saw what he was able to do in Tampa last year with Baker, which was super impressive. He is an offensive mastermind. Everybody you talk to around the league about him loves him and holds him in really, really high regard. And I think Trevor, the thing that kept coming up in the interview, which again, Trevor didn't throw anybody under the bus. He takes accountability. But when we were discussing, the coaching change and all that, he kept using the word juice and energy. And again, it's not him saying this, it's me reading it. It just seemed like that was a really big theme and fire. And that's what Liam Coen is bringing here. And it seemed, again, reading between the lines, it seemed like that was what was missing. It seemed like Doug Peterson ran his course, and maybe guys are tuning him out and not really responding to what he was selling. And it seems like this Liam Coen hire has kind of re-energized that building right now.
Matt, we always have to read between the lines with Trevor because he's so polite and he never wants to throw shade on anyone, even Urban Meyer. And so he doesn't talk about those things, which that obviously makes him an honorable person and character. But yeah, you do have to kind of read between the lines. And I took away from that fantastic interview that Trevor Lawrence is really excited to have his play caller as his head coach.
Yeah. And that's, obviously it was always cloak and dagger with who was actually calling the plays. When did Doug Peterson step in? How much was Press Taylor doing? When, who was calling plays when? There was all that drama that just continued to drag out. So there is clear direction here. It is clear who is calling the plays, and it is Liam Coen, which he does seem super excited about. And it was interesting too. One of the first things he brought up to us as far as the team was running the football, the emphasis on the run game, and building the passing game off of the run game. And I think you look at almost every quarterback in this league, that's when they're at their best, is when you can build your passing game off of the run game. And I think that was exciting for me to hear because, again, I think that's really going to put him in a position to succeed. I think a lot has been put on his plate and just kind of dumped on him early on. I think having that extra layer of support and taking maybe a little bit off his plate is going to bring another level out of him. And I think bringing in a guy in Grant Udinsky is exciting as well, coming over from Kevin O'Connell and what they were able to do with Sam Darnold this past year. And I think that's what's so exciting about it is you look at like what they did with Baker Mayfield, what they did with Sam Darnold, and it's no offense to either of those guys. And they had incredible years, but I think that the skill set that Trevor Lawrence possesses, the arm, the athleticism, all of it is beyond what either of those guys have. So getting guys in that building that run that system, that Sean McVay, Kevin O'Connell, Shanahan type of system, it's just really exciting for Trevor. And I think I love what they've done. I love these moves. And you can say whatever you want about how Liam Coen comes off in a press conference or whatever. They were saying the same type of stuff about Nick Sirianni, and we saw how that went too.
You can find Matt on X at Matt Hamilton25. He is the senior producer and, of course, on air as well for the Up and Adams show, which you can get 11 a.m. Eastern on FanDuel TV and the MSG Network. Matt is also a quarterback coach for the New Rochelle High School football team. And so, Matt, let's kind of delve into that area of your expertise and continue this conversation along that road. There has been, I don't want to call it criticism, but there have been eyebrows raised at the youth, the average age of the coaching staff that Liam Coen has assembled. There has also been certainly a pushback of younger voices that understand the modern player. The why is something that the modern player wants. That's something we've heard echoed not just from football minds we've spoken to with here on Helmets and Heels, but we even had Tara Singleton, the JU women's lacrosse coach, on, and she brought it up unexpectedly just about the modern athlete. What do you make of this younger quote-unquote coaching staff and that actually being a reality that they perhaps have a better pathway to communicating effectively to this next generation of athletes?
Yeah, I think there really is something to that, and it's about personality. It's about being able to connect with players. And this generation, like they don't want to just be told what to do and go do it. Like they want to understand why. They ask questions. There's more of a cerebral approach to it. And I think it's easy to not say, oh, these guys are unexperienced and all this stuff. Like we've seen a lot of young coaches, especially recently, have a ton of success in this league because of that ability to connect with players. And the older coaches that have had a lot of success, they have evolved. You look at an Andy Reid from a scheme perspective, from a management perspective, how he's evolved since his time in Philly. So the game is changing. The game is constantly changing and evolving, and you have to be able to keep up with it. And I think, I'm excited about this younger coaching staff in Jacksonville. I don't look at it as a negative.
Matt, when we are talking about the offensive play calling and how it can help quarterbacks in certain factors, something that we know Trevor Lawrence can get the ball down the field. That's something that we've seen him be very successful at, and sometimes almost too much to where you feel like the coaches haven't really used what some people say the easy button with Trevor. It's been a lot of just more difficult throws and difficult schemes and asking people to do maybe too much. We saw Joe Brady do it with the Bills and Josh Allen this last year and how much it helped Josh Allen. How much do you think that a guy like Liam Coen will come in and throw some of that stuff in with Trevor when it comes to play action and stuff like that to help him out and get these guys on the same page?
Yeah, that's a great point. And you look at Josh Allen winning his first MVP. How did he do it? They took stuff off of his plate, and they ran the ball more. They got him more easy completions. They had more play action RPO stuff. And I think that is exactly what you're going to see them do with Trevor, both looking at what Liam Coen did last year, but also with what Trevor was telling us the other day. I think, the fact that that's been such a point of emphasis already in their conversations says a lot to me. And also just the fact I love hearing that the fact that they're having those conversations on that level already is pretty cool and pretty exciting. Like they are diving into the X's and O's already and trying to get on the same page with this new system. But yeah, I think that's absolutely going to be a part of it because you're right. Like so much has been put on Trevor. Just, hey, make things happen downfield. Just, this scheme hasn't been friendly to him in the past. And I think that's something that we're going to finally see for him now.
Matt, in your role, you get to interact with all these different players. Who's been the one that you walked away from the interview going, wow, that person is not who I expected, or they impressed you, or, you learned a lot from that person?
Oh, man, that's a great question. Man, we've had so many. Joe Burrow is always an interesting one because he's just wired the way that he's wired a little bit differently. He's so kind of intense and locked in all the time. And there's personality there. He's funny, but like he is, he's just wired a little bit different. There's such a like underlying intensity there all the time. And it's different from a lot of other players that we've talked to. I think the other one that was a pleasant surprise was that we talked to over Super Bowl week was Micah Parsons. He's interacted with stuff we've done. We had Debo as a weekly guest on the show a couple of years ago, and he had a lot of things to say about the Cowboys and about Micah, and Micah didn't like him. So there's been interactions with him with some of our clips and things that were said on our show that he wasn't happy with, but he could not have been cooler and nicer to everybody. And he had that ability, I guess, to separate what other people were saying in the show about the Cowboys and about him from the show itself and from Kay. So love that chat with him. He's an awesome personality.
Like Lauren said, you have an opportunity, Matt, to speak to players, coaches, personnel around the National Football League from across the board, as much as, yes, your heart may be here in Duval. So I'm curious, you mentioned about Grant Udinski in Minnesota and the positive returns you've heard on that hire. What was the conversation in Green Bay, the turnaround on defense, bringing in Jeff Hafley, bringing in Anthony Campanile, who, of course, is now the DC here in Jacksonville?
Yeah, when we were up in Green Bay, that was all anybody wanted to talk about, even offensive players. It just how much they loved Hafley, and you got to hope that that's the type of attitude that's coming into Jacksonville now, which is an aggressive mindset. It's competing at practice, trying to challenge the offense, not just, there's some teams, in the way it sounded in Green Bay before with Joe Barry, it was like, okay, I'm going to call plays that kind of complements looks that Matt LaFleur wants to see, or, looks that he wants his offense to go up against. And Hafley came in and was just like, screw that. I'm going to throw the kitchen sink at him and try to confuse him and try to frustrate him. And the players felt like that was bringing out another level. And you saw the returns. Like that defense took a big jump this year. The offense, with Love and his injuries and some of the other stuff going on, wasn't as strong, but that defense really took a big leap. And I think bringing that spirit of competition, I think that's something you have to hope for coming into Jacksonville this year to turn this defense around, because there are a lot of talented pieces there. And I don't think they're that far away from getting this defense together. I think it is just going to take the right coach.
Well, Matt, I am happy to report that it is now 1:13 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we did not have. Did I speak too soon?
It's about to come.
Is the flyover coming? we spoke it and manifested into the universe. No flyover during our chat with you.
Oh, it really is.
Oh my God, it just showed up. Oh my God. Well,
there it is.
I spoke too soon, but you got to fly over. You got to chat with us. We can enter you for the free $300 Visa gift card that First Florida Credit Union's giving away. We appreciate you taking some time during a busy time of the year, my friend, for catching up on all things Jags and beyond.
I can't ask for anything more than that. I appreciate you guys having me. That was a lot of fun, and we got a flyover. You can't beat that.
We will do it. We will do it again soon. I don't know if I can guarantee a flyover next time, but maybe our producer engineer extraordinaire Richie on site. Maybe he can create it. So Matt, thanks so much for taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, Mia here, and thanks so much for watching 1010XL Jaguars. For even more coverage of the Big Cats, be sure to subscribe to 1010XL Jaguars.